Welcome to Drinkin Bros, presented by Strikeforce Energy.com. Put down the water and grab a fucking drink.
Yes! Welcome to a very, very special episode of Drinkin Bros. Guess who I got here tonight, kids? I know we talked about it on an old podcast, but it's Father's Day week. And this week, each of us is interviewing our fathers one-on-one. So I'd like to welcome my dad to the show. Welcome, Mr. Jerry Lowry.
Thank you.
Is it weird? Is it weird being here?
This is strange. I mean, it's just totally strange. Never done anything like this. I've listened to the podcast forever, and I can't even believe I'm sitting here right now.
Yeah, look, you're one of few parents to listen to the show.
I bet.
I think Jared's parents gave up. I think they gave up around episode 100, so they were out after that.
Well, I like Jarred, and to be honest with you, I'm surprised they made it that long.
I am too. We had Vince's dad on a while back, him and his brother.
Right.
But his dad's famous. Like, he's been around the block. He knows this shit. He's seen it. So I think he still listens to the show. Matt's parents don't listen to the show. They do not listen to the show.
Not surprised.
No. Yeah.
Sorry, Matt, but I'm not surprised.
And we'll see if they read their book, but if they read his book, I'm sure they will. It's going to be an awesome fucking book. But look, welcome to the show. You know how this works if you've listened to all the episodes you say you have. We got some sponsors who pay for this whole thing to be on the air. First up, you know they're our fave. You know they're the best in the biz. We're talking about Strikeforce Energy.com. The tastiest, tiniest little tin pouch of energy. It goes in waters, beers, Kool-Aids, liqueurs. Some might even say coffee. That's a bold move. You're going to be up for a lot of the day. But go ahead and make it. Go ahead and make that move. Try it out. Write us and see how that all went down. See how your afternoon shook out after that. Go to StrikeforceEnergy.com for all your energy needs. Look, kids, kick the can. We don't need the can anymore. You got a pouch. You don't need to walk around with bulky cans taking up a lot of bag space in your backpack, if you will. They got a subscription of the month. They got some brand new flavors which are flying off the shelves, and they've got a subscription of the month with they got a bottle that squirts out 100 of these things, 100 squirts of Strikeforce Energy. I highly recommend it. We have the subscription. Go to StrikeforceEnergy.com. Type in the promo code Drinkin Bros. You get 20% off, and they ship everywhere in the entire world. So you've no excuse. If you're in China, they'll ship to China. I don't know how that works with customs, but that's where they're shipping. Next up, we got ghostbed.com. Yeah. It's a fine sleep, the Ghost Bed. Big fans of ghostbed.com. It's the nicest mattress you will ever sleep on in your entire life. Their pillows are to die for. And look, you get 3 free pillows every time you order a bed. And look, I know mattresses are kind of expensive. They've also got like a payment program, which is nice. It's a nice thing that they've got going on there. Go to ghostbed.com/Drinkin Bros. You get $50 off a bed. They just ship it right to your house. Comes in a box, and then boom, you open that shit up, and I sleep on it every single night. Go to ghostbed.com/Drinkin Bros, or type in the promo code Drinkin Bros, and you get $50 off a bed. Next up, we got a little grenadesoap.com. Grenadesoap.com is, look, it's a great Father's Day gift. I know it's past Father's Day, but you probably forgot. Go to grenadesoap.com. Get yourself a bar of soap. Their fucking grenade soaps are the dopest shit you will ever get. They're OD green and combat clean. They're made with real gunpowder too. Which, how do you beat that? They got a bunch of dope shit there. They got some DOP kits. They've got some tactical toothbrushes. Grenadesoap.com is the fucking jam. Big fan of their soap. Go to grenadesoap.com, type in the promo code Drinkin Bros, and you get 20% off. Look at that. It's 20s across the board. It's 20 twins. Last but not least, we got warfightertobacco.com. They're back, kids. Warfighter Tobacco is back. Go to warfightertobacco.com for the finest cigars in all of the goddamn land. Also, Warfighter Tobacco is trying to go global. They're trying to go worldwide. So if there is a cigar shop near you and you want Warfighter Tobacco cigars inside that shop, go up and talk to the owner and say, hey, man, why the fuck don't you have any Warfighter cigars in here? And you know what? Those Warfighter cigars will reach out and try to get inside your favorite cigar stores. In the meantime, you can find all their sweetest cigars on their website, warfightertobacco.com. They've also got a dope-ass apparel, and they got a fine humidor, which I have, which is awesome. Use the promo code DB10. DB10 for 10% off of everything at warfightertobacco.com. You know what? I'm going to add one more. We got a little book written by one of the greatest authors of our time. I'm talking about Ross Patterson and Matt Best. We're talking about Matt Best, Freedom the Fuck On, which is now available for pre-order on Amazon.com. If you want the greatest, one of the greatest military books ever written, imagine Deadpool, written as a military book that describes Matt Best's life. It's something special, kids. It really changed the game in the military community as far as books go. Big fan. Go to Amazon.com and pre-order Matt Best, Freedom the Fuck On. Last but not least, we got a little Black Rifle coffee. Evan Hafer is not here, but I'll go ahead and do Evan's voice for him. Black Rifle Coffee is a premium roast to blend coffee that can ship right to your house. They've got a subscription and whatever. Look, you get a subscription of it. We've all got a subscription of it. Type in the promo code Drinkin Bros. You get 20% off. It is some of the best coffee in the land. They got K-Cups too. That subscription will get you K-Cups. It'll also get you bags of coffee in case you France press it. And if you do need a France press, go to drinkinbrospodcast.com. Grab yourself a France press that J2 drinks out of. Also, we've got some amazing shirts in the store. With that out of the way, happy Father's Day. Welcome to the show, my man.
Thank you.
Yeah. So just to kind of give you a background here, in case you've missed some episodes, or in case our chat earlier, I wasn't clear about it. Not we weren't. I wasn't clear about it, Eric, because I kind of ambushed you. I said,
you did do that.
I said, hey, pop on up. We're doing a podcast, kind of out of nowhere. What we're hoping to get into here is each of us interviewing our fathers during Father's Day week and just kind of asking about their life. Because how many times you get to sit down with your father and ask about his life from day one all the way up through now and really find out about who they are.
Well, as a dad, we tried to impart that on you guys as you were growing up, and you never wanted to listen to a fucking thing we said.
No, but now we do.
You do.
Now we do. Now we do. So it's important because this show will live on forever, past us, past everybody, and it'll be a nice little moment in time, almost like a time capsule that you don't have to bury.
True.
You could just go online and find it because the internet's not going anywhere in 50 years.
Right.
Maybe it is. Maybe it is, and there'll be a hologram of us giving the interview to each other.
Well, it just depends on whether Al Gore takes it the next step.
Yeah, he won't be alive. He won't be alive by then.
No, he won't.
All right, let's start off. Where were you born?
Okay, I was born in Columbus, Ohio. And
go Buckeyes.
I'm a twin, fraternal twin.
Uh-huh.
I got to tell you, I was 9 pounds, 6 ounces. My brother Jim was 7 pounds, 15 ounces. We held the record for total weight at Mount Carmel West Hospital in Columbus, Ohio for 33 years.
Holy shit.
Yeah, some Asian lady beat us out.
Really?
Yeah.
That's 16 pounds worth of baby.
I know.
Boy, that had to have been a brutal birth.
It had to be. I just don't remember it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. How many brothers do you have in your family? Because you have a lot.
Yeah. Well, I have 6 brothers.
Okay.
One passed as a baby, well before I was born, so I didn't really know Billy. But then I have, my twin and then 4 older brothers, so total of 5.
Total of 5?
Right.
Okay. And what part of town did you grow up in Columbus?
We grew up in the Linden area. It was a poor area of Columbus. We were very simple. We did okay. We did okay, but it was definitely an old rundown neighborhood that we grew up in.
How big was the house, square footage wise?
Gosh, I don't know. What I can tell you, what I do remember up until age 9 when we moved, we only had 2 bedrooms in this house, okay? And we had 5 boys and the parents.
Holy shit. And
so
one of the bedrooms was the parents, right?
Well, was the parents and my brother and I.
Oh, boy.
We honestly started off sleeping in 2 dresser drawers. That was our cribs. And then as we got a little bit older, then Mom went to the Army Depot and picked up a surplus Army bunk bed for us. So we had the Army bunk beds in their room, and then my other 4 brothers had the other bedroom.
Okay. And how long did that last?
That lasted about 3 or 4 years, and then Bob, the oldest brother, he got married young at 18. He moved out, and then the other brothers, as they became of age, started joining the military. I think primarily to get a little room. Okay.
Just to get out of the house.
Yeah. My brother Tom, he was in the Navy. He was stationed in Panama at the Panama Canal.
Okay.
In Balboa.
What year was that?
Early 60s. I can't tell you for sure, but early 60s. And then...
and tell the audience what year you were born.
I was born in 1953.
Okay.
Yeah. And then my brother John joined the Air Force, I'm going to say about mid-60s. And he took pilot training. Okay. I remember going to, at the age of 14, I went to his graduation ceremony in Selma, Alabama.
Okay.
And he was a lifer, and he retired.
Now, what year was that in Selma? Do you remember?
Well, let's see. I was 14, so I had to have been about 67.
Holy shit. So right during all of the civil rights movement. It
was, I'd never been out of the state of Ohio. Okay. Well, I mean, we didn't have any money. We didn't travel. If we traveled anywhere, it was to go to Cincinnati and catch an occasional Reds game. Okay. So leaving Ohio and heading south was one of the first big experiences of my life, particularly when we finally hit Selma and, first crossed the Edmund Pettus Bridge. And I saw things on the way down there that I couldn't believe actually existed. We were at a little town in Tennessee to just stop, get some gas, get some lunch. And that was the first time I actually saw a building that on the side of the building, it said white with an arrow pointing to the front and colored with an arrow pointing to the back.
Wow.
And I think, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So it was
because that didn't exist in Ohio then, right?
No, we didn't see anything like that.
So that the racial prejudice with coloreds and whites, like segregation, that didn't exist in Ohio when you were growing up?
No, I believe it did. I believe it existed across the entire country. It just wasn't as
prevalent.
It wasn't put out there the way it was in the South.
Gotcha.
And I love the South. Don't get me wrong. I've lived 30, 40 years down here, but that was my first experience with it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So you're growing up in Ohio during this time.
Right.
Was there any fear? Because during those years, it's a time of war, obviously, Vietnam and all that stuff.
Oh, Vietnam scared the shit out of all of us. Okay, you got to understand, nobody had even heard of Vietnam, until the early 60s. We really didn't know what we were fighting for. We're told, well, you're fighting for our freedom. Well, how in the fuck does this little podunk country make a difference on the United States and our freedom? We didn't understand.
Right.
And, I'm coming of age. I had a girlfriend thinking I'm going to want to get married. And I'm just scared to death that I'm going to be forcibly taken, sent overseas, and never come back.
Yeah. Drafted.
And then, of course, the attitude of the country then, so much different than today, thank God. The military back then was really frowned upon.
Right.
This bullshit of guys coming back, having served their country, having gone through the horrors of war, and to be called baby killers. I mean, my God. Okay, it was a horrible time. Yeah,
it's funny talking to the other guys on the show, just going through the timeline of the military. They said they didn't really gain a positive experience or a positive outlook on the military from U.S. citizens until kind of around the two.
It was the Gulf War.
Yeah, the Gulf War. Yeah, the
right.
First Gulf War, and then especially after 9/11, obviously. But
see, things hit a little closer to home for us, for Americans.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And so we understood.
Sure.
Fuck them. We got to get them back. Okay. We got to stop this. And so the military finally became heroes.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I mean, even today, when I'm sitting on a plane and I might be upgraded to first class and military are walking on board, people are clapping.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And guys are getting up from their seats and say, "Here, take my seat. I'll take yours and coach."
Right.
Of course, then everybody's looking at me, and I don't know, fuck that. I got my upgrade. I'm staying put. But thank you for your service.
Yeah. It's funny. It's funny. I think Matt said the same thing. I was just like, no, I'm not giving up first class. I love my country, and I love everybody.
Right.
So how close were you? How close were you to being drafted? Was that a thing in your?
Oh my God. Okay, so they started the draft lottery. Okay.
And what year was that? Do you remember?
Oh God, I want to say it was maybe around 1968, 69, right in there.
Right.
They started the lottery, so when you turn 18, they would, draw numbers for your birthday.
Sure.
Okay, and then you didn't get drafted until age 19. But that gave you a year to kind of know where you were going to be. Now, when the first year, my number was like 344, which meant I wouldn't have gone anywhere, but I wasn't eligible yet.
Right.
The next year, it was like 290. Okay. And I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to be fucked.
Yeah.
Okay. So my year finally came up. And I hate to even tell you this number, but we drew number 69.
Welcome to Drinkin Bros.
Well,
you know, it had to be in there somewhere.
It had to be. So,
and how old? So you're 18 years old.
I'm 18.
And what year is this?
That would be 71.
Okay.
Going to be eligible for the draft in 72. So remember now, I have a fraternal twin.
Sure.
Also, remember I told you Brother John made a life out of the Air Force.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at that time, there was an air base near Columbus, just outside Columbus. It was called Lockbourne Air Force Base. Later, it became Eddie Rickenbacker Field. So I didn't know what the hell we were going to do. And Brother John, he says, I'll make you guys a deal. Next year, if you get your notice, just come to me. I'll throw you in the car. We'll go to the Air Force Base, and we'll get you enlisted in the Air Force Reserves, and we'll back it up a day so that you were already enlisted before you received your notice. He said, now you're going to serve,
right,
but you're only going to be gone a couple of years.
Right.
So I thought, okay, that's a good deal.
Sure.
Now, Jim, he couldn't handle that. So he went off and joined the Ohio National Guard. Okay. Back in those days with the National Guard, no offense to anybody, but it was considered a cakewalk. After you were gone for 4 months, you had your weekend duty once a month. You had your 2 weeks in the summer. Long hair was, the style back then. Of course, you couldn't have it in the service. So they would go out and buy these $2 wigs. And when they had to, go for, the weekend and tuck their hair up under this wig, and they got away with it.
You're kidding.
It was just an easy
So they were wearing wigs the whole
way
weekend?
to serve.
They were wearing wigs the whole weekend?
Oh, yeah, of course. In the 2 weeks in the summer. So he did that, and me, I decided, well, you know what? I'm going to hold up because I think this is going to work. Now, we were trying to wind down, and, President Nixon, no matter how he ended up, was trying to get us out of Vietnam. Okay, he was trying to wind down the draft. So they took the draft numbers way down, and that year they stopped the draft at number 53.
Holy shit. So you missed it by 16.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I didn't have to take John up on his offer. Jim, he served out his years in the National Guard, and everybody was happy.
Wow. That's crazy.
But that was scary times for us.
Yeah.
Very scary.
Was it as scary as you thought? Like, did you have, friends from high school and all that stuff?
Oh,
drafted?
I had friends, plenty of friends from high school that did go.
Did they make it back home safely?
Most of them did, thank God.
Okay.
Only a couple didn't make it. But,
right.
The others did. Most of the ones that came back were pretty good.
All right.
Okay, and we're ready to get on with life and that. But I knew a handful that, just couldn't recover from what they experienced. Okay, I don't know whatever happened to them. I mean, we're talking 50 years now or whatever.
Yeah.
40, 50 years. So don't know what happened, but I did get to see some of the aftermath.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So, okay, you graduate high school.
Right.
You miss Vietnam.
Yes.
Thankfully.
Right.
Then what? You decide to go to college, get a job. What were you doing at that point in your life?
I wasn't doing a fucking thing. I was a bum. I was living at home.
Still living at home?
Still living at home.
In that 2-bedroom place?
Oh, no. We had moved to a 3-bedroom since then. And then
you gained a bedroom.
We did gain a bedroom. The older brothers, had moved out. So it's just, Jim, myself, mom, and dad. So, pretty good.
Right.
Pretty good. But I just wasn't motivated. Okay. I will tell you that when I graduated from high school, you really needed a 2.0 average to pull a C.
Right.
And they went ahead and let me graduate with a 1.98. I just, again, my role models, were guys on welfare. Okay. And
from the neighborhood or?
Yeah, from the neighborhood. I mean, we were in a poor old neighborhood.
Sure.
I didn't have any role model to really, bring me up or make me want to, do good. Okay. So, I had a hard time holding down a job, just be various factory jobs. I'd work 3 or 4 weeks and then not. I mean, I didn't have any money pressures because I was living at home.
Right.
But at age 19, I did get married. Okay. And
did you guys go to high school together?
We went to high school together, and then we got married, and it was planned after 2 years that we were going to start a family.
Right.
Okay. And she got pregnant. Okay. And so, the oldest son, Scott, was born. And then 2 years later, Michelle was born. But it was when she was pregnant that I thought, what the hell? I have a family to support, and I haven't done crap with my life.
Right.
So I went to the IBEW, and International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. I thought I liked working with electricity and that. Okay, so I thought I'll become an electrician. They had an apprentice program.
Right.
Okay, after 4 years, you get your journeyman. They wouldn't accept me because I didn't have a 2.0 average out of high school. It didn't matter. It was 1.98. And I said, man, I have really screwed the pooch.
Right.
So I ended up going to college. I started off.
What college did you go to?
I started off with DeVry.
Okay.
And taking electronics communications. And I got my associate's degree from them. And then.
Now, what year is this?
Oh, let's see. This would have been like 1974. Okay.
So they didn't have those DeVry commercials back then?
No. And then I did get a job with a company as a technician. Man, I was in seventh heaven. I felt good. Hell, I was making $4.85 an hour. That was big ass money then. Okay.
$4.85.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. So now I'm motivated. Oh, so then I decide, okay, I want to progress into management. And I said, I need another degree. I need a degree in business administration. I got accepted at Ohio State, but I couldn't get the hours for my classes that I wanted back then. Okay, because I had to work.
Right.
Like I had to work full time. So there was another college in Columbus, Franklin University.
Yeah, and I'll state this for the audience because having gone to Ohio State,
right.
You think when you go to college, you sign up for classes. I want the 7 a.m. class or I want the 3 p.m. class. That's not how it works.
No,
they just put you in whatever classes they decide to put you in, and if you have a fucking problem with it, that's it. It's tough shit.
They were much less flexible then than they are today.
They're not even flexible today.
Okay.
So that maintained over 30 years.
Right.
So I get it.
So I went to Franklin, okay, to get my degree in business administration. Now, I'm so fucking motivated now, okay? I know what life's about. I know what I need to do. And I worked my ass off between going to, working during the day, going to classes at night, that for 3 years, I carried a 4.0 average at Franklin.
Wow.
Yeah. It was
just because you cared.
It was. It was a fucking accounting class. God, debits and credits, God, I can't never get them straight. So that one killed my 4.0, but I ended up graduating with a 3.6.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Right. And so that's what got me started, got me going now.
Sure.
Right.
So did having a degree open up more doors for you to get another job, consider another job?
Well, the first thing it did is open the door for me to get a promotion in the company I was working for.
That's great.
I went from being a bench technician to supervising, production of electronic assembly. I had 64 people working for me. Actually, it was 64 women working for me. What a trip.
Yeah, wow.
That's
64 women working for you.
Even women will tell you that supervising women is the worst. No offense to anybody. But any bro that's listening knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Holy shit. Just trying to manage the period cycles has got to be tough.
Oh my God. It was my boss, the one thing he had this thing. He said, he insisted that every morning I had to go down the line to each person and say good morning to them personally. Right. Okay, that was his thing. And if I, skipped a day, I got my ass kicked, and he sent me right out there to make it up, to get it done. That's the thing he said.
I like that though. That's a nice thing.
And it was okay. But now here's the thing. So you're going down the line,
right?
You got all these women working, and this is my example. So I say, good morning. Then I go to the next one. Good morning, how are you? Now the other one's pissed. You only said good morning to me. You said good morning, how are you to her. You like her better. What the hell's wrong with me? No, I swear to God, this is the kind of crap that I ran into.
So you would say good morning all these different ways or the same way to 64 women?
You really just needed to be consistent.
Yeah.
Right.
You learned that really quick, though.
Really quick.
Yeah.
Real quick, yes.
All right, so you're there. You got a promotion. You got a little more bread in your pockets. What did you buy your first house? What did you do?
Well, actually, I did buy my first house, and it was a very small house that I bought.
What year was this?
Let's see. That would have been 1977, I believe.
Okay.
Okay. And then I had that house for about a year, and then I just said, I can do better than this now. So, house prices were going up fairly well. My first house was only $35,000.
Wow.
And it was brand new. Okay.
And this is in Columbus.
In Columbus.
Yeah.
And then about a year or so later, I found that I could sell it for $40,000. I said, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Wow.
I mean, I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
So I sold that and bought another house, a big house. Okay. It was like $68,000, which was unheard of. But then the wife and I were having some issues, and divorce came in the picture.
Right.
Okay. It was shortly after we bought the new house, so any equity that we could have had, of course, was lost.
Sure.
It was gone, and so now I'm a bachelor, so to speak. Okay, trying to keep active in my two kids' life.
Right.
All right, because one thing, my ex can call me all kinds of names, but one thing she won't say is that I was a bad dad, because I wasn't.
Right.
I did what I was supposed to do.
Sure.
All right. So I'm single for a few months, and I'm at work, and they decided that they needed to hire, I'm going to say, a shared secretary. Okay. She was going to come in and do clerical work for me and 3 other guys. Okay. We were going to share, her services.
Right.
Okay. And for me, she'd type memos, file away blueprints after they were used for the assembly. And it was a woman by the name of Diane Patterson. And I had to interview her.
Right.
We all had to interview her.
Right.
And I could tell she was a really nice person. She had a young son that she needed to take care of. Also recently divorced.
A young genius. Ross Patterson.
That one. And so we ended up hiring her. And, we didn't have computers yet. Not to the degree that we have today.
Sure, it's probably typewriters, right?
Typewriter,
Yeah.
IBM Selectric.
Yep.
And I'm watching over. Her desk was across from mine. She's just staring at the typewriter. So I go walking over. I said, "You need any help?" Mr. Lowry. That's the only time I've been called Mr. Lowry by her, of course.
Right.
I don't know how to turn this thing on. So right here, sweetheart.
So didn't know how to use a typewriter. You hired a secretary who didn't know how to use a typewriter.
I don't know how the hell she pulled that off. Okay, master of deception, but she pulled it off, got in there, and then a little bit later, "Mr. Lowry, I have a problem." I said, "What?" And there was a tab that she had to move to set the margin.
Right.
Well, she didn't know she had to push it in to slide it over. So she snapped the tab right off.
Oh, shit.
What am I going to do? I'm going to get fired. Don't worry about it. Just call these people, tell them we need service.
Right.
It was our IBM, service guy, and he came out, fixed the typewriter. I signed off the invoice. All was well and good.
Right.
All was well and good. So that's how, Ross, that's how I met your mother.
Just like the TV show.
Just like the TV show.
Just like the TV show, except we
Yeah.
get to spare you 8 seasons of bullshit for a terrible finale.
Yes.
All right, so you guys meet here. You end up dating, which is a no-no at the workplace.
Very much a no-no. Yep.
Yeah. You end up getting married.
We did.
And then you got a house. Did you buy that house?
Well, no. We what we did is we did get married, and let me give some advice to everybody out there. We got married on Valentine's Day.
Right.
We thought that was the coolest thing. In Las Vegas, by the way. I mean,
Sure.
It's our second marriage. So we take off. We go to Las Vegas. A nice wedding, but it's on Valentine's Day. Now, I thought that was the coolest thing, the smartest thing. I was so fucking stupid. Okay? You have your anniversary. When's your anniversary? October 19th?
Yes.
Okay.
October 19th is my anniversary.
So, if you decide on the 18th, let's go out tomorrow for dinner. We'll go to that place you like.
Yeah.
All right? You'll call them right up and get a table.
No problem.
No problem.
No problem.
You'll call the florist.
Yep.
Yeah, let me have a dozen roses.
Be here in an hour.
$49.
Yep, be here in an hour,
Okay.
yeah.
Now, for me, I got to make reservations 4 or 5 months in advance.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Or else I'm not getting a table.
Right.
Those $49 roses are going to cost me $110.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. So, not a smart idea. So, any of you are thinking, hey, let's get married on Valentine's Day or some other special holiday. Screw that. Give it at least a week either side.
Yeah, pick any other day of the year.
Right.
So you guys are married. I remember, oh boy, I remember when Reagan got shot, our house got robbed.
Yeah.
Did you own that house at the time? Did you buy it or were you renting it?
No, that one we rented because we're getting a lot of pressure at work. We don't like married couples. You can't be married and work here.
Right. Which, it still stands to this day.
No, that's bullshit because there were at least 3 or 4 other married couples there.
Right.
Okay, which I, brought up.
But you could understand that in the workplace, how it's frowned upon, because it creates conflicts.
But then you do it across the board.
Right.
Not just with this one couple.
Sure.
But we were the most visible couple. Okay. So we were renting that house, and it was the day Reagan got shot. You were at daycare, Little Buckeye Daycare, and there was a Chi-Chi's Mexican restaurant that we really liked.
Big fan of Chi-Chi's.
We really liked it.
I don't think that exists anymore, by the way.
I don't think it does.
No.
So after work, we got off at 3:30. So we decided, let's head down the road, get some cheese dip, margarita or 2, and then we'll come back and pick up Ross.
Right.
And so we did that, went to pick you up, came home, and found that our door had been kicked in. Now, the thing is, we had just gotten married like 6-7 weeks before that. Both of us are coming off a divorce.
Right.
We didn't have crap. We had a dining room table. We had the beds in the 2 bedrooms and a love seat and an old black and white TV. That's it.
Right.
That's it. And so I know they were disappointed as hell when they kicked in that.
But they
one.
took everything.
But
I was
still,
little, I was very, very young, but I remember they took everything except for what was in the kids' room. Didn't they slash
except for the big, except for the like the big pieces of furniture, the 2 big pieces, because that's all we had.
Right.
I mean, they took your mother's jackets. We had a fancy telephone, like one of those old French phones, in the bedroom. They took that. Okay, that was really, and the TV, of course. I mean, that was about all there was to take. But here we are, living on nothing.
Right.
And I didn't think it could get worse than that, but it did.
And then it did.
It actually did. And then you were so traumatized by it that, for about a year, you had a hard time falling asleep because you were worried that the bad people were going to come back and take the rest of our stuff.
Yeah, as a kid being that young,
Right.
that sticks with you where you're just like, holy shit. Because I remember being in the car with you guys, and we all came home together, obviously. And then you find this, and
Right.
then your whole entire house. I remember you had, I think, told me to stay in the car, and my mom, I think.
Told the 2 of you to stay in the car because I didn't know if they were still in there or not.
Yeah.
And like I said, we didn't have shit. So I'm looking around. What am I going to arm myself with?
Right.
I find a brick. A brick, okay? So I have a brick in my left hand, going through the house. So if somebody's going to fuck with me, I'm going to hit them with a brick.
Yeah.
Okay? If there's 3 of them in there, they're all 3 going to get hit with a brick. I'm going to be a Matt Best and just kill them all, you know. So, yeah, it was very scary.
You got a gun after that, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. And
by the way, I think for most civilians out there, that's when you do get a gun, is when usually after something bad happens. I remember I got my first one after I got robbed in L.A.
Well, the girls that worked for me at the company, they took up a collection. They collected like $70. Not bad for back then.
Sure.
Okay. And so I said, I'm getting a gun. Now, I had a hard time finding a gun for under $70.
Right.
But I did pick up a 32 Beretta.
Okay. Yeah, well, it's the early 80s at this point.
And,
so, yeah.
The slide on it was, a little tight, kind of hard to work. But, I could work it fine.
Sure.
So I decided I'm going to take your mother out because she needs to know how to use this gun. So there's a range north of Columbus, outdoor range, and so I take her up there, and I get it loaded up, put it in her hand, and say, okay, now shoot at that target. And, God, you couldn't believe how sad that was, Her head buried in her chest, arm above her head.
Yeah.
It was horrible. And then I said, okay, now I take the clip out, and I said, now what I want you to do is put the clip in there, cock it. I said, just, cock it and then fire it. So she slides the clip in. She goes to slide it back, and then she starts screaming.
Probably got her hand caught in there, right?
She did.
Yeah.
She got her damn hand caught in there. And again, I told you, it wasn't an easy slide to begin with.
Sure.
I couldn't get her fucking hand out of there. And I'm thinking, I'm going to have to rip her hand off. I mean, I didn't know what I was going to do. I finally got it back enough to where her hand came out of it. And that gun, I still have it.
Yeah.
Sitting in my safe. But it has not been fired for probably 32, 33 years. Actually, in a couple of weeks, Old Navy guy up in Atlanta, I'm going to bring it and give it to him because he wants a gun. And yeah, I really don't need it.
Well,
I don't feel...
I'd keep one in the house.
Well, yeah, but
house.
You know what? Not that one.
Right.
Because that one's going to take some work.
Right.
It hasn't been clean. Hasn't been.
Well, at
oiled.
least you haven't been robbed in that long.
No. So that does show something.
Yeah. So at this point, do you decide to stay or do you move? Because a lot of people after they get robbed, they move. I remember when we got robbed in Los Angeles. We were living with a couple women, Summer, Tristan's wife, that you know.
Right.
Some of my best friends from college, and they didn't want to stay in that house anymore. So we moved.
Well, it wasn't because of that, okay? But we're getting a lot of pressure at work. And so they called your mother into the office, to the front office, and said, we can't have the two of you here anymore. One of you has to go. And we'd rather it be you.
And they said that to you or to mom?
Her.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, because she was secretary, I was supervisor.
Yeah.
Okay. And so then after that, they came to me, and so I said, you know what, we've talked about it, and we agree with you. Okay, we don't need to both be here, and it should be her to go. But I really need her income. So I need you to give me, enough time for her to find another job so she can walk from this one to another one.
Right.
And they said, well, that's reasonable. We'll do that. Stupid fucks. I had my resume going all over the country.
Yeah.
We were both going to be leaving.
Right.
And a few weeks later, I found a job with Scientific Atlanta, in Atlanta.
Big company.
Yeah. It was a dream job, doing basically what I'd been doing up there. And back then, Atlanta did not have much of an employment base. They didn't have all the high-tech companies.
But it was about to go through it, because we're looking at 80s here. And it was about to go through a boom, a major boom.
It was, but see, by me coming in right before it boomed.
Right.
I was able to get the kind of relocation package that only, Fortune 500 CEOs.
Yeah, high-level executives.
Everything was paid. Okay, transportation, moving, down payment on a house, the whole shebang. So that's when we left Columbus, and it was for the job, and it was to get away from that and basically start over again without having to deal with marriage with 2 employees, that type of thing.
Sure. And now at this point, you've only been to the South one time.
Right.
And now you're moving there.
Yeah. Yeah.
How was that? Was that a culture shock?
Yes, it was. It was. And matter of fact, I'll tell you a little story. When I was interviewing with Scientific Atlanta, I had a whole day of interviews with a whole slew of people. And one of the big managers was going to have a lunch interview with me. So he says, well, we're going to go out for lunch. I'll drive. And we get in his car. He says, I need to stop for gas.
Right.
He was at a truck stop. And I said, you know what, while he was pumping, I said, I could really use the bathroom.
Yeah.
So I go walking in there, and I said, I'd like to use the restroom, please. Sorry, we don't have one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I go walking back, and he said, you done already? And I said, no, they don't have a bathroom. I'll just wait till we get to the restaurant. So he gets on pumping. He wasn't paying at the pump back then. Okay.
Right.
So he goes inside to pay. I'm walking with him, talking. I open up the door, and a set of keys literally bounced off my chest and hit the floor. And I looked at the girl behind the counter. I said, well, the hell is this? She says, it's the keys to the bathroom. It's around back and to the left. You just told me you didn't have a bathroom.
Right.
And she said, you see those 2 blacks out there walking to their car? And she didn't use the word black.
Right.
She said, they were in here, and I didn't want them to know we had a bathroom because then they're all going to want to come in here and use it. So feel free to use it. And I looked at this guy that's interviewing me. I mean, I'm in shock.
Right.
And he's in shock. Neither one of us had experienced anything.
Yeah, and this is the 80s. Like
this is
isn't
the 80s.
Yeah,
but
yeah. Civil rights and all that was in the 60s. Like
right.
And yet the South is still going through this at this time.
Exactly.
Welcome to the South.
There you go. And I remember, getting back to the motel room, and calling your mother. You're not going to believe what happened. I'm not sure if this is where we ought to live or not, because we also, at that time, we still had the child murders. If people remember the child murders with Wayne Williams being convicted and bodies being thrown in the Chattahoochee River, and
right.
that hadn't been solved yet.
Oh,
so
man.
We weren't sure.
Right.
If Atlanta was the place to bring you.
Yeah.
And raise you. Because remember now, you're about 4 years old now.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So you're at Scientific Atlanta. Are you making decent money?
Actually, at that time, I thought I had made it in life. Because, I am making decent money. Looking back, no, not really. But, at that time, that was the most money I'd ever made.
Sure.
So we're happy.
Right. Right. I remember we lived in an apartment for a while, though.
We did.
Yeah.
We did.
And was that because you were looking for houses? Or
yeah.
Okay.
Well, we didn't. What we wanted to do, we decided we wanted to give it a minimum of a year, maybe 2, so that we would know the area before we tried to lock in on a house.
Gotcha. Okay, and Jesse and I did that here as well.
Right.
All right. So that makes sense because
Yeah.
I remember vaguely that growing up, living in an apartment complex.
Yes.
For a year, and that was the reason why.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Gotcha. So you're at Scientific Atlanta, and how long are you there for before? Because I know your dream was to own your own company.
Well, and at that time, I couldn't even imagine owning my own company. I liked working for somebody. I liked being able to leave work and not give a fuck about anything, and then go back to work the next day and do my job. I was very good at what I did. I had a very good reputation, so I really wasn't worried about losing my job or anything. I felt security. But then after about 3 years there, our product line that I was supervising, which was the cable boxes, back then for top your TV. They'd come up with a new design, but we weren't getting the numbers and the costs that they wanted. So, unbeknownst to all of us, they ended up contracting the manufacturing of the boxes to Japan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was the first experience. When I was in Ohio, back in the 70s, we saw a lot of jobs.
Going overseas?
No, going to the South.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay. We lost a lot of jobs up there, the area called the Rust Belt.
Right.
Because electronic companies were moving to the South, the Sun Belt.
Sure.
Okay. So basically, eventually, I followed the job market to the Sun Belt,
right.
Coming to Atlanta. Had no idea that we would ever lose our jobs overseas.
Sure.
And that was, one of the first.
So is that where the germ of the idea of, oh shit, maybe I should start my own company came in?
Well, then it came in the back of my mind because I saw so many people
losing their jobs.
Right. And I had upper management, telling me, nobody has to worry. We have jobs for everybody. You need to go out there and tell them. You need to go out there and make sure that they know they don't need to leave here. They wanted to keep manufacturing going for about 3 or 4 months before it picked up in Japan. They couldn't have everybody leaving. All right. It would have fallen to hell too early.
Right.
So they told me that, hey, if they stay, we're going to guarantee them jobs in other divisions. It's no problem. So I went out to the floor and I guaranteed everybody that they had their jobs.
Right.
Don't leave, stay. So 90% of them stayed based on what I told them.
Sure.
And then the day that they flipped the switch in Japan, they came in and laid everybody off.
And how far along was that? After you made that speech to your employees?
About 3 or 4 months.
Shit.
And so and again, there it was primarily women. Okay, not that means anything, but they were more emotional about it.
Yeah.
And I was the asshole. It wasn't the president and then.
Well, you were you were the guy. Yeah,
I was the mouthpiece.
Yeah, you were the messenger.
I convinced them to stay because I believed it, and now they're all laid off. And some of them had good jobs, like at Lockheed Martin, and actually it was Martin Marietta then.
Yeah.
And that they could have taken,
but
they didn't because they wanted to stay. With Scientific Atlanta and possibly with me as their supervisor because I was a good supervisor. And
sure.
Now I let them all down.
Right.
And that's when I said, you know what? Fuck this shit. I want to do my own thing. Of course, I had no idea what. It would take several years before it finally clicked in for me.
Right. Well, and I think that's important because we have a lot of entrepreneurs on the show.
Right.
Talking about, how and why they made the decision to open up their own company.
Right.
And it all starts somewhere.
Yeah. Right.
So essentially, that was kind of your starting point, but it took you a few years to figure out what you were going to do.
It did, because you got to try, you try some things that you think it's really going to work.
Sure. And they fail.
And they fail.
Yeah.
And you got to be able to know that.
Yeah. And I think it's important for a lot of people out there because most entrepreneurs, they're not successful in their first venture.
Right.
You got to fail a few times before, you go on and you're successful in something.
Let me tell you something. When in the business I'm in now, when I went for my first credit line, we went 4 or 5 years before we decided we need a bank line of credit.
Right.
And we had the bank people in. And we had all the figures laid out. Back at that time, we were able to truly document 20% growth per year for the last 5 years.
Right.
Okay. It kept going up. And, the number of employees kept going up.
Right.
We were the perfect candidates for a credit line.
Right.
No. We weren't.
Yeah.
Why? Because they were uncomfortable because they saw these 5 years of growth, okay, and they said, but you haven't had a downturn. I said, no, we're that good.
Right.
No, we like to see a failure. We like to see a downturn because that gives us a chance to see how you can come out of trouble.
Right.
Okay, they wanted to see that. They wanted us to be able to demonstrate that, but because to them, anybody can do a job if everything's going right. Okay, but it takes a failure. So that's for the entrepreneurs out there. Don't get pissed. Don't get discouraged if you try something and it fails. Figure out what failed. Was it the wrong market, the wrong product, whatever?
Right.
And try again. And then try again.
Yeah, and then keep trying and keep trying and
it
keep
will,
trying.
because it will. It will eventually click.
Right.
And that's what it did for us.
So what year is this that you decide to start your own company?
1989.
1989. And
Right.
what did you specialize in?
Well, see, again, my background was electronic manufacturing, so that's what I knew. And at that point, more and more companies are looking offshore to get their cables made, their board assemblies made, whatever.
Cheaper labor costs.
So I had stumbled on a guy in Helen, Georgia. Helen's a little resort town about an hour north
Gorgeous
of
place.
Atlanta. Yeah, gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
Bavaria, styled after Bavaria.
Yes.
Okay.
Very small.
And
In the mountains, but
in the
but
mountains,
very gorgeous.
in the
yes.
mountains,
Yeah.
yes. And this guy owned. I found out. I don't know how I came across him. I think the guy that worked on a couple of our machinery, for electronic assembly, knew him from Port-au-Prince, Haiti. Said he owns a company in Port-au-Prince, Haiti.
Right.
Gave me his name, number, so I called him, and it just so happened he was up in Helen. So I went up to talk to him. So I got this idea. You have this company that makes things in Port-au-Prince. Labor rate's very cheap.
Yeah.
Okay, 30 cents an hour, whatever. So I said, how about if I independently represent you? I'll go to companies up here that are looking to get things made offshore. We'll get their drawings, their materials. We'll send it down to you. You put it together, send it back here. I'll get it to them. And I thought that's the kick-ass idea.
Right.
That's the one that's going to make me money.
Right.
So we did our deal. I made several trips to Port-au-Prince.
Lovely country, isn't it?
Lovely. You haven't experienced
You had to have armed guards,
anything.
right? Did you have armed guards down there?
Didn't have armed guards, but I did have, he had a guy who worked for him who was, Haitian.
Right.
Kind of a wise guy. I mean, he knew everybody, okay? He had
Sure.
a car to drive because, they provided him a car. He knows everybody.
He's like a Rocco. He's got a guy. He's got a guy.
There you go.
Yeah.
So whenever I was there, he was assigned to me. He would
Okay.
pick me up at the airport. He would pick me up at the hotel, take me back to the hotel. If I was smoking back then, and
Cigarettes.
yeah,
Okay.
so
We're just clarifying for the audience.
yeah. It was cigarettes, and and of course, the only thing you could get down there was that Haitian stuff, and but then his name was Claudie Jean.
All right.
I said, Claudie, I need some Marlboro.
Yeah.
Give me $2. Okay. 30 minutes later, he'd be back with a pack of Marlboro
Boom.
for me.
Yeah.
I mean, he was my go-to guy.
Got a guy. Got a guy.
Right.
So
right.
you open up your own company at this point. How supportive is your family?
My mother-in-law, your grandmother,
Yeah.
was the biggest support of anyone in the entire family. Probably if it wasn't for her support, I'd have given up on the whole thing. Because everybody else, no.
Thought you were crazy.
Yeah. When's Jerry going to get a job?
Right. A real job.
Yeah, a real job.
Yeah.
And I have a job. And
Well, because that's the thing is most people associate having a real job with you working for somebody else,
Right.
having a standard paycheck that
Right.
comes home, and that's that.
Right.
But owning your own company is a real job at the end of the day. It's just extremely difficult.
It's extremely difficult. The hours are murder.
Yeah.
The pay is shit.
Right.
Okay. Probably not making minimum wage when you account for the hours.
Sure.
But she was the only one. Jerry Lowry is brilliant. Jerry Lowry is going to make it. Jerry Lowry needs to do what he's doing. And I had nothing but grief from everyone else, except for your mother. Although, she would hear things like from her father.
Sure.
And that would work on her a little bit. It would put some seeds of doubt into her head. But overall, it's your grandma Joseph. She was the one.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, and where did this company start? If I remember correctly, as a kid, I think it was in the basement of our house. Is that true?
Well, no, this particular company actually started in our dining room.
Okay.
Okay. This one failed. Problem here is now we had this disease called AIDS.
Right.
That was really starting to, gain everyone's attention. Rumors back then, well, some said it started in West Africa.
Right.
Some said it started in Haiti.
In Haiti, yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
And so I'd get these electronic boards built, bring them back, to have the company inspect them, and if they liked them, I'd get their contract. They couldn't get their quality control people to look at them. Nobody wanted to touch them because they thought they were going to get fucking AIDS from touching this electronic board.
You're kidding. I didn't know this.
Yeah, no, that's what happened.
And that's what ultimately shut the company down.
It really did.
Holy shit.
Excuse me. Between that and the fact that Haiti at that time was trying to become a democracy.
Right.
Okay. Carter was pushing that.
Gotcha.
And 85% of the people were illiterate.
Right.
So democracy only works, if you have a little bit of smarts, if you will, to government by the people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Make an intelligent, informed decision if you're
So,
going to elect
the ballots down there didn't have names. They were only pictures. And after they voted, they would take their little pinky and they would dip it in ink, pink ink. And that's how they knew that they had voted and they couldn't come back and vote again. If somebody came back to vote and they had a pink pinky, well, you already voted. You can't vote.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
And there was an extreme amount of violence. See, we take voting for granted here.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can't get people out to vote. People were willing to risk themselves to vote. So that's one thing I can say about the Haitian people, is that they really wanted this.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of government turmoil at the time.
Turmoil, too. AIDS is going on.
So at any rate, and then my last night there, I was staying at a hotel near the presidential palace, and then all this gunfire erupted. I was laying on the floor, halfway under the bed, and that's where I slept that night because I was afraid of a stray bullet coming through.
Sure.
Next morning, I got on that plane. As soon as the wheels, went up, I said, I'm never going to be back here again. So that one failed.
Yeah.
Now, later.
When does the next one start?
Actually, about 1991.
Okay.
About a year and a half later.
And what was this one?
This one is what eventually got me to where I'm at today. Okay. I had a friend, and his name was Chuck, and Chuck was repairing converter boxes, set-top boxes, in his garage. He needed some help.
Yeah, and these are, by the way, for the audience at home, these are the converter boxes you see on top of your television, like a normal cable box, right?
Right.
Black box, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so he needed some help. He knew I wasn't, working full time. I was doing odd jobs, anything I could do to, keep, supporting the family. Hell, I had a paper route.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm 39 years old, and I'm throwing papers for the Atlanta Journal. like I did when I was 11 up in Columbus.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember coming down because you didn't tell us you were doing that. You didn't tell me at least.
I didn't tell you.
Yeah.
Mom knew.
Yeah, and I believe we were the only people renting in the neighborhood as well, right? Renting a house.
Right, at that point, yes.
Yeah, and I didn't find that out until a kid at school whose asshole dad told me.
Right.
His dad told him, and I'd said something to the kid at school. This kid in turn said that to me, and I remember asking, and then you guys had told me that story.
Right.
And I didn't know. Right. Because I thought we lived in a nice neighborhood.
Well, we were.
Which we did.
We were in a nice neighborhood, but we were renting the house.
We were renting, and I took some shit for that as a kid, but I didn't fully understand at the time. And there was another time where I got up, and it was, I couldn't sleep, and I want to say it was like 4:30 in the morning, and I found you out in the garage rolling newspapers, getting ready for this paper route. And I saw you, and I didn't know why. I didn't know what you were doing, and then you had told me.
Right.
And at this point, you're doing this to not only support your family, but also try to make your dream happen.
Well, see, that's the thing is that, I made just enough money. You threw papers from the car. Right. Okay.
Yeah, you just rolled the window down, drove on the other side of the street.
Just, throw them in the driveways, whatever. And we didn't have to collect money today like we did back in the early days where you had to go knock on doors and try to collect, your money for the paper for the week. The Atlanta Journal, they billed everybody, and they sent them a check. You get a check once a month from the Atlanta Journal, but I got just enough in that check to cover the rent. And, I had a couple guys, who knew about it and said to me, oh, I would never stoop so low. Well, fuck you. I'm paying my rent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Any means necessary.
There is no shame in doing what you need to do to take care of your family.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of things I was doing. He said, I could really use some help. That's all right. And he was living in Florida. He wanted to move to Atlanta, and that house we were renting had a huge garage.
Right.
And I said, we can use my garage and we can set up in there. And so that's what we did for the next year. We did that work, right out of our garage there, as well remember.
And look, let's tell the kids at home here, working out of a garage in Atlanta with no AC.
You got 4 or 5 months a year where it's brutal as hell.
It is hot.
Hey, January's no picnic either because it gets cold enough.
Yeah, it gets cold in Atlanta. The weather switches.
Yes, it does.
The weather switches.
Yes. So after about a year or so of doing that, he decided he didn't want to do this anymore. Okay, he was going to go back to work for a major corporation.
Yeah.
I said, well, man, what the hell am I supposed to do? He said, you know what? All this test equipment is yours.
Really? So he just gave it to you?
Yeah. He said, I don't need it. It's yours. So now I'm on my own. And then about a year doing that on my own, and then I came across a guy, an engineer that I used to work with at Scientific Atlanta.
Right.
He was working on the amplifiers to bring the signal across the city into the home. And I was working on the cable boxes.
Right.
And we decided, well, hey, why don't
we partner up?
Yeah. Why don't we partner up and see what we can do with this? And we did. And then we found, we decided, we can't be doing this like this. So we looked around and we found a place to rent, in an office park to, put it together. And that's how it started. And
all right. So you went from the dining room to the garage. I remember at one point you were in a basement, too.
Well, what happened, okay, you mentioned, how the weather in Atlanta can be so dicey.
Yeah.
Well, that was a promotion for me, was that I finally said, you know what, fuck this, I'm moving it in the basement.
Yeah.
I'm in climate control now. I'm in seventh heaven.
You made it.
I did.
You made it.
Yeah.
I also remember as a child, growing up, there was a UPS man who was coming by every day. Cal was his name. Love Cal.
That's his name.
There was a time where you were making illegal black boxes.
Never illegal black boxes. Never made it. No. Let me explain, people. There was a time when there were not laws on the books.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. They weren't. They weren't illegal.
It was considered a gray area where I could take converter box and I could put a chip or two in there, and it would pick up HBO and Showtime and that.
Everything for free.
For free.
Yeah.
Everything for free. And
the porn channels, Playboy, all of it.
You got that too.
You got all of it, and the fights. You got all the pay-per-view for free.
Pay-per-views, yes.
So
everything.
Yeah, to everybody at home, because there was always a guy you knew who these black boxes were rumored, and if you could get a hold of it, you could get everything for free.
Well,
you became one of the most popular people.
Well, what happened
in high school, because everybody's parents wanted that box from you, and yeah.
Well, see, the thing is, and I mean, these boxes, not mine, but other people's boxes, they ran ads in Popular Mechanic, okay,
right,
a couple of scientific magazines. I used to see the ads in the Delta magazine on the plane. Okay, for these people. So this was a
legitimate business.
Legitimate that the cable companies didn't like. Eventually, they were able to lobby and get the laws changed.
Right, right.
And that's when I changed, because I'm not going to jail for for this.
Sure, but it was a nice side income going on, right?
The Cal, the UPS guy, I would just tell him, come around the back of the house. If the basement door is open, just walk in. Okay, don't be knocking, just walk in. If the door's closed, that means it's locked and I'm not here.
Sure.
Okay. And he would come in, he'd see all these converter boxes all around because I was repairing them.
Yeah.
Can you make those work for HBO and that? I think I could sell a few. And I said, well, that's not what these are for. So one day I put a few together and I said, I can give you 10. All right. And I said, I want $100. Now I had to pay 50 for everything.
Sure.
So, but hey, $50 a pop, that's not a bad margin.
Yeah.
So he would come in and he would hand me $1,000 and then he'd walk away with 10.
Right.
2 days later, he'd come, can I get some more?
Yeah.
Can I get some more? Well, over the course of several months, he became the main distributor.
Yeah, dealing.
But the thing about us, if you bought one from a magazine,
right,
and it didn't work, or after a month, it quit working, you're screwed.
Yeah, you couldn't take it back.
No.
Yeah.
With us, we were the only ones that actually offered a fucking warranty.
Yeah, they repaired them.
And I had a standing rule with them. If one of your customers come back and say my box isn't working, just don't even call me. Just switch it out.
Right.
And then come back and say, okay, I took 10. Here's 8, and here's 2 that I exchanged. And
right.
Fine, I'd fix them. They'd go for sale again.
Yeah.
And it got to where too. Obviously, I wasn't requiring cash in advance anymore with them, and we made a lot of money, and we were, we were the kings of Atlanta. And again, until the rules changed.
Until the rules changed. But I remember friends of mine in high school, because they were dying for those boxes, and you were always like, let's just give it to your best friends, like your select best friends.
Right.
I ran into I'm not going to say his name, but I ran into a buddy of mine's father about maybe 15 years later after that.
Right.
And to this day, he still talks about that. Oh, man, your dad was a brilliant man. I had HBO. I had all the fights for free, all the Tyson fights for free. That was the greatest time of life. Now I'm paying $150 for cable. It sucks. But he was always grateful.
Well, and now, today, fast forwarding to today, the converter boxes on top of your TV aren't really cable boxes anymore. They are full-blown computers.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
It's a
they are
different world.
full-blown computers. Yeah. So even on the side of repairing them and that, the complexity got to be so great, compared to, the margin I could make off of them, that we just ended up not doing converter boxes at all.
Right.
And no repairs, nothing. And today we work strictly on the amplifiers that bring the signal from the satellite dish to your home.
Sure. So after doing all this, when was the first year that you said, holy shit, I think I've made it, or I think we've started to make it?
I'm going to say maybe 1998.
98.
Yeah, right about there.
Where you were like, oh, man. You bought your first gigantic office or warehouse at that point?
No, we never did buy. We always just...
Well, I mean, yeah.
But we did
leased
move.
it.
We moved, and
sure.
we, the thought bigger is better.
Yeah.
Okay, so we went from 3,000 square feet to 22,000 square feet.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was big.
Yeah.
And we were in there for a few years, and then that's when I said, you know what, we're not going to do it this way, because bigger is not always better.
Right.
Okay. Excuse me. And so what can happen is you're billing out a ton of money, but instead of making 40-50% margin, your margin is dwindling down because your costs are so high to where maybe you're making 10 to 15%. Hey, you got 30 employees.
Yeah. That's not always the best.
No.
And I think a lot of people found that out after, 2008, where, you had to cut, everything imploded and then everybody started cutting. Then you realize, oh, shit, I didn't really need those 30 fucking employees. I could have done that with 10 or 5.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. And that's where, again, if you're going to do a business, figure out where your break even is, figure out where your equilibrium is.
Right.
And work to maintain that. A little growth is always good. But you don't have to blow it through the roof in order to, make it in business.
Sure. So 98, you make it. What's your first big buy? What's your first big purchase?
Actually, my first big purchase was in 1999, a brand new 1999 Lexus LX 470.
All right.
There you go.
All right. Was having a nice car a dream growing up as a kid?
Oh, of course, because we never had a car. My parents never drove.
Holy shit.
They never drove a car, so...
You guys took the bus everywhere?
It was the bus, or we would walk for miles. And I'm not giving you we walk for miles story. That's how it was, okay? It wasn't until I was 12 and got a bicycle, finally my first bicycle, that I was able to expand my range, okay, as far as getting out and people I knew in that. But we never, until my older brothers... bought their own cars and would come, by the house and whatever. We never had cars. So, and then as a young man, not making any money, but now I've got a family I'm starting to raise.
Sure. We
could only really afford one car. Okay.
Right.
If I did get a second car, it was what we used to call a rust bucket. That you held your breath every time you tried to, start it.
Right.
Held it together with duct tape because of all the rust, eating through it. Now, the good car always went to the lady.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah,
it's what you...
And then you drove the shitty car.
And we take the shitty stuff. So for me, this was a huge deal. And, of course, your mother immediately took it over. Well, that's my car.
Right.
That was fine.
Yeah.
That was good because it felt good to put her in that kind of a car. And I will tell you that when I first brought it home, she was nervous as hell to drive it because she says, my God, I mean, it's 1999. This is a $60,000 automobile.
Right.
I can't do this. I can't drive this. And yes, you can.
Yeah, it's a weird thing.
Well, I might wreck it.
Yeah.
Fine. It's insured.
It's a weird thing for a lot of people because I think in all the entrepreneurs we've talked to, you get to that one moment where you're like, oh, shit. You're so worried about spending money because you don't have any.
Right.
Then you have it, and then you feel weird spending it. There's got to be that trepidation in your mind where you're like, oh, shit. Wait, we can't afford this. Everything's going to be okay.
Well, the problem became, so we had that car. Okay, a couple of years later, I got my new car.
Right.
Me.
Yeah.
Okay. We, your mother in particular always wanted to live by the beach. All right. And that was something we didn't think was ever, going to happen. And
did you ever picture that as a kid?
Not me.
Could you dream that big as a kid to say to yourself, I'm going to be driving, one of the nicest cars one day. I'm going to have a house on the beach one day that I'm going to build because you guys built that house.
Right.
Could you ever dream that big?
Never did, because it was just too far out of reach. Okay, my dream was just to eventually have a car.
Right.
Didn't matter what it was. Didn't matter if a dog had ripped up the seats and what have you. If I had a car, that's what mattered.
Right.
Okay. If I had a screen door that didn't have a hole in it that would keep the bugs out in the summer, that was the dream.
Sure.
Then, okay. And it really wasn't until, God, I tell you, I mean, in the 90s when this business started actually making some money,
Right.
that's when I started thinking, I can have anything I fucking want.
Right.
Okay. And I wasn't going to rush right out and do everything at once because then it'll implode on you.
Yeah. And by the way, a lot of people do that. I've seen a
Right.
lot of people do that in life,
Right.
where they get successful and then they blow all of it. You saved none of it, and then you got fucked somewhere along the way.
Well, when it comes to the house in Florida, I mean, we've been looking all just, ads and stuff up and down the coast, and I came across an ad in Golf Digest, of all things.
Right.
It was a double-page
Were
ad.
you on a plane?
I was on a plane.
I think people only read Golf Digest on a plane. By the
Right,
way.
exactly.
Yeah.
And, I see this ad for Hammock Beach, Florida. It's going to have a Nicholas course and all this stuff.
Yeah, the dream.
And so, I don't know, just something hit me. And I said, I think this is it. I got home from that trip. I kept the magazine, not supposed to, but,
Yeah.
and I said, look, sweetheart, that's our place right there. I think that's it.
Right.
So we made arrangements the next month to go down there and look at it. And we ended up buying a lot.
And how old are you at this point in life?
Oh, Lord, let's see. That was 2004, so 43.
43.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah,
Looking back on it, though,
Yeah.
that's not a bad age
No.
to make it, to start
Right.
thinking about making it.
Right.
And we should point out to the audience at home that you still have this exact same company to this day.
Bad math. And I do still have that company to this day. But no, I was actually 53.
Oh, 53. So you're up by 10 years.
53, yeah.
Failure. Shame. No, I'm kidding. No, but 53 is still a great
Right.
age of like, hey, that's
Well, at
amazing.
this point, we're thinking.
You weren't 93.
We're thinking a vacation home, eventual retirement. That's what was in the mind.
Right.
Okay. So we bought this lot in 2004. Nothing was built around us yet, so we didn't know if we made a good investment or not. 2 years, we wanted to get the lot paid for. Again, we wanted to do things, smart. So we wanted to get the lot paid for before we would consider building. Well, I was able to pay for the lot in 2 years. And then we went back down there and we saw all this shit going on around us. We saw the golf course was probably 3 months from, opening.
Right.
Okay. And I thought, okay, this is it. So that's when we then sought out a builder.
To build your dream house.
Right.
Okay.
Took 2 years. There was so much activity going on that
Sure.
it was just really, hard. It was hard to keep progress going.
Yeah. Well, look, that happens to everybody every day.
Lord.
So, yeah.
But
at 53, you got to admit that's pretty impressive. You're building your dream house at
Right.
53, like, and contemplating the rest of your life in retirement. That's pretty incredible.
Well,
and you still have the same company to this day,
we do.
Which is incredible.
Yes, it is incredible. And in 2006, when we finished the house and we closed on it, we're walking through the house. We got our keys.
Yeah.
It's ours.
Yeah.
So we're walking through this house, and it's a beautiful house. It's located right by the water. And I'm looking at Diane, my wife, and I'm saying, why are we making this our second house?
Right.
Why is this going to be a vacation retirement home? This has been your dream. Fuck that. I think we can make this work. I say, let's give it 2 months. And then we can always just stay in Atlanta.
Sure.
Well, after about 3 weeks, we knew it would work. we live there full time.
Right.
Okay. I'm at the point where I put in 3.5 days a week in the office. I commute back and forth, and no, I don't drive, even though it's only a 6-hour drive. That would get old.
You're 63 now. Yeah.
So, I take Delta. I fly back and forth.
Sure.
And we have the best of both worlds. And, even having that little bit of separation just makes it in a way kind of nice. We would do fine together, 24/7. But being gone for 3 days, when I come home on Thursday, it's like a reunion.
Yeah, and you guys have been married for how long now? 35 years?
Going to be coming up on 36 and Valentine's Day.
Yeah, Valentine's Day. Of course.
Right.
Of course. So do you ever look back at your life and say, you look around at the house, all the things you have. Do you ever look back and say, if I never would have started this company, I never would have had any of this?
No, I never really looked at that. What I have done is I've looked back over my life and said, could I have done things differently in my life? Okay.
And could you have done things differently and still made that kind of money?
Well, the thing is everybody out there, I'm telling everybody that's listening right now, will say, man, if I could go back 10 years and redo this, if I could go back 20 years and redo that, if I could go back just 2 years. But you know what? That's why you never look back. That's why you never look back, because, sure, you could have done things, your mistakes. You could go back and erase your mistakes. But where would you be today?
Right.
Okay, that's the key. And if you like where you're at, and I love where I'm at, so all of my mistakes and any of my failures is what got me here.
Right.
It's all line, man. It's just all along. You change one thing, and who knows exactly where you're going to be. So I am loving life. I'm loving my family to death. Yes, I'm 63. I've had people tell me, well, don't you want to retire? And
I've said this to you.
Well, you have. And the thing is that would I like not to have the pressures of needing to work? Of course.
Right.
But I have a good thing going right now. So I'm happy. Okay.
Yeah.
And so that's what everybody, if you're happy
doing what you do,
then do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of people say a lot of the same thing of like, I don't know what I would be doing anyways in retirement, or I love my job and I love what I do. So the fact that you still do is amazing. And before I let you get out of here, I'm gonna ask you 2 more questions,
right.
2 more life questions here.
Lay it on me.
What was the greatest disappointment in your life?
The greatest disappointment in my life.
It could be anything, by the way. But is there anything you look back on and said, shit, I wish this was different, or I wish I could have changed this?
Well, I would have to say, when my mother, she never was, sick like with cancer or what have you, but I saw her getting really, really weak. Now, I was just starting to make some money, and I did. My brother Bob and I, we kind of teamed up, and we, her biggest fear was ever having to go to a nursing home.
Right.
And we said, Mom, we promise you will never have to go. Okay. And we did a lot of things. I had another brother who wasn't really good at working or what have you, but we made a deal with him, live with Mom. We're gonna give you an income and just take care of her. Okay. And he did. He did a really good job. And we did a really good job. But right at the end, she had to be taken to the hospital. And we don't know if she had a stroke or what. And they decided after, treating her and that she needed to go to a nursing home for 2 weeks. It was supposed to be for 2 weeks. She died 2 days in that nursing home.
Oh, wow.
And that's probably my biggest regret, because I promised her, no, you'll never have to go to a nursing home. And it was only going to be for a short period. And I thought, that's fine. That's okay. She died. Did she die as a result of that? I don't know. But I'm just saying, if I had otherwise, I don't have any real disappointments.
Okay.
But that one does. That one bothers me.
All right. And the last question is, what's the proudest moment of your life?
That's so fucking easy.
What's that?
That was the birth of Jax. Are you kidding me?
Oh, my son, your grandson.
Yes.
That's great.
And just real quickly, we knew we were going to come to Wilmington, for the birth.
Right.
That was always the plan. And we made it a point to be in Atlanta because we thought it would be easier, quicker to get from Atlanta here than from Palm Coast here.
Right.
Okay, so we had this all planned out. And 6 o'clock, 6:30 one evening, it was actually the evening of April the 3rd, I get a call from Ross, we need you here. We need you here now. And no problem. Get online with Delta. They got 6 flights a day coming in here.
Right.
I couldn't get a flight until 10:30 the next night. I could not fucking believe it. Mom's just starting to panic. My God, what are we going to do? I said, what do you mean, what are we going to do? Get your shit together. We're leaving. And by 7 o'clock, we were in the car. It's just a 6
you guys drove all night.
Drove all night.
Yeah.
So that we were here. And when we got here about 7. We got to the house. And then we waited until about 11 because we wanted things to be kind of settled, at the hospital and that before coming over. And being able to see him, it was incredible. I couldn't believe that, I call it the cycle of life. I'm born, I have kids. I raise the kids, and now they have kids.
Right.
It's a beautiful thing, man. Proudest moment.
That's awesome. Well, now's the point in the show where we get to the Drinkin Bro of the week, and I can say, having you on the show, you are my Drinking Bro of the week.
Wow.
I appreciate everything you've done for me in my life. I appreciate the way you raised me. I don't know if I've ever told you this before, but watching you work as hard as you did growing up, being an entrepreneur, creating your own business, and going through life is what instilled in me my work ethic and literally been able to give me everything I've been able to do in my life by learning from you. I can say as a direct result is why I have everything that I do today. So I'm extremely grateful for you. And I just want to say I love you. Happy Father's Day. And thank you for everything you've given me and taught me in this life. And you are my Drinkin Bro of the week, buddy.
Well, thank you. I mean, I love you too, obviously. And, the honor of being Drinkin Bro of the week. I mean, I've listened to every award that was given.
Sure.
Over 100, out there. And to be put into that category, to be put in that company with guys who and I've heard some of their stories.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. And I don't feel worthy, but I accept it with honor. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, thank you for doing the show. I love you, buddy. Look, for Ross Patterson and my father, Jerry Lowry, thank you for doing the show. Good night, everyone, and happy Father's Day to all. We'll see you. We'll see you soon, kids.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.